What defines a commander's genius? Is it the perfection of a plan, or the ability to salvage victory from the brink of disaster when that plan goes awry? In the vast, unforgiving expanse of the North African desert, one battle would provide the ultimate answer. On the 26th of May in the year 1942, the air began to crackle with the sound of engines and artillery as the Battle of Gazala commenced, a conflict that would become the crowning achievement for one of history's most legendary commanders. On one side stood the Panzer Army Africa, a formidable but not overwhelming force of combined German and Italian units. At their head was Colonel General Erwin Rommel, a man whose cunning and audacity in the desert had already earned him the moniker of the Desert Fox. By the end of May, his command consisted of 90,000 men, a potent armored fist of 560 tanks, and an aerial umbrella of 542 aircraft, all poised to strike a decisive blow against the Allied Eighth Army. Rommel, assessing the heavily fortified Allied defensive position known as the Gazala Line, dismissed the notion of a costly frontal assault. His mind conceived of a far more elegant and dangerous solution, a plan of breathtaking scope that aimed not merely to push the enemy back, but to annihilate them. He envisioned a great sweeping flank attack that would curl around the southernmost anchor of the Allied line, a fortified box at a place called Bir Hakeim. The objective was twofold: to encircle and destroy the bulk of the British armor behind their own lines, and to cut off the infantry divisions dug in along the Gazala position, leaving them to wither on the vine. To bring this audacious vision, codenamed Operation Venezia, to life, Rommel assigned his forces with surgical precision. The Italian 132nd Armored Division Ariete was given the unenviable task of launching a direct assault on the formidable Bir Hakeim position, fixing the defenders in place. Simultaneously, the true heart of the offensive, the German 21st and 15th Panzer divisions, would execute the grand flanking maneuver, swinging wide around the Allied flank to storm their vulnerable rear areas. This armored scythe would be supported by the 90th Light Africa Division Battle Group, which was tasked with an even deeper envelopment, racing around the flank toward El Adem with the critical mission of blocking any Allied reinforcements from reaching the unfolding battle. To ensure the success of this southern thrust, the Axis troops would also launch a diversionary decoy attack in the north, a feint designed to draw Allied eyes and reserves away from the real point of decision. As Operation Venezia launched, the initial results were spectacular. The German Panzer divisions, a torrent of steel and fire, surged around the flank and crashed into the British positions behind the Gazala line, overrunning them with shocking speed. Rommel's gamble appeared to be paying off handsomely. Yet the desert is a cruel and impartial arbiter of war, and it soon began to impose its own unforgiving logic upon the German advance. The very speed of the German success became a liability, stretching their vital supply lines to the breaking point across miles of hostile terrain. The critical flaw in Rommel's intricate clockwork plan emerged at its southern pivot, Bir Hakeim. The Free French garrison, expected to be a secondary obstacle, offered a level of ferocious and unexpected resistance that completely disrupted the German timetable. Their refusal to yield meant that Panzer Army Africa's supply route, a long and exposed artery snaking all the way around the Gazala line, was now perilously vulnerable to attack. Rommel had successfully driven his armored forces deep into the enemy's rear and had indeed engaged the British armor, but he now found himself in an incredibly precarious position. He was the hunter who had become trapped alongside his prey, his forces caught between the main British army and the defiant French garrison, with his lifeline of fuel, ammunition, and water under constant threat. The situation grew more desperate by the day. On the 28th of May, with his panzers in danger of being stranded, Rommel ordered renewed attacks, this time pushing northward in a desperate bid to reach the coast. If he could achieve this, he could sever the Gazala line completely and trap the Allied divisions. His forces, however, were now critically hamstrung by a woeful lack of fuel and essential supplies, their offensive power bleeding away into the sand. It was in this moment of impending crisis that his Italian allies accomplished what could only be described as a small miracle. The Italian Trieste division, navigating the treacherous landscape north of the still-resisting fortress of Bir Hakeim, managed to thread its way through the deadly and complex Allied minefields. They succeeded in opening a secure, albeit narrow, path through this lethal barrier. This single achievement was the turning point of the entire battle. Italian engineers worked furiously to widen the corridor, transforming it into a robust supply route that allowed for the rapid resupply of the beleaguered Afrika Korps. With fuel and ammunition once again flowing to his tanks, Rommel immediately capitalized on the opportunity. He pulled his forces back into a clever defensive position, a pocket that backed directly onto the Allied minefields. This ad hoc fortress, which became known as the Cauldron, formed a secure base of operations deep within the British defensive zone, ironically protected in part by the very minefields the Allies had laid to stop him.
History?
Italian engineers completed the logistical masterpiece by lifting mines from the western side of the fields, creating a fully functional supply channel that connected the Cauldron directly back to the main Axis lines. The Allied 8th Army, seeing Rommel's forces concentrated in the Cauldron, believed they had the Desert Fox trapped and prepared to deliver a finishing blow.
They launched a major counteroffensive codenamed Operation Aberdeen, an ambitious attack designed to encircle and annihilate the Panzer army. The operation, however, proved to be a catastrophic failure. The attack was poorly coordinated, with different units failing to support one another, and was defeated in detail by the now well-supplied and expertly positioned German and Italian defenders. The result was a disaster for the Allies. A great many British tanks were lost in the futile assaults, and the Panzer army not only survived, but regained the strategic initiative. The failure of Operation Aberdeen shattered the 8th Army's offensive capability and its morale. With their armored strength severely depleted, the Allies could no longer hold their position, and the order was given for a full withdrawal from the Gazala line. The retreat quickly turned into a rout. The resurgent Axis troops surged forward, overrunning the great port fortress of Tobruk in a single day, a stunning victory that sent shockwaves through the Allied command. Rommel, sensing a complete collapse, relentlessly pursued the fleeing 8th Army deep into Egypt, forcing it out of several subsequent defensive positions. The Battle of Gazala, a contest of daring maneuvers, logistical nightmares, and tactical brilliance, was over. It is rightly considered the greatest and most complete victory of Erwin Rommel's storied career, a testament to his ability to turn near-certain defeat into a triumph that would echo through the annals of military history.
Thank you for your time. Please like and subscribe to the channel to support us. Leave a comment with your thoughts for next video ideas.